So now that Ben Carson is firmly ensconced at the Department of Housing and Urban Development, it's time to rip it down. So, Washington Post reporting, the Trump administration has considered more than $6 billion in cuts at the Department of Housing and Urban Development, according to preliminary budget documents obtained by the Washington Post. The plan would squeeze public housing support and end most federally funded community development grants, which provide services such as meal assistance and cleaning up abandoned properties in low-income neighborhoods. Now, understand that this has two benefits for Donald Trump and the Republicans. They get to save money, and the money would go to help the poor, who generally, in this case, they view as not voting for them. So they're like, who cares? Good, let's punish them, right? And secondly, then Donald Trump could turn around and go, see, oh, the inner cities are such a mess. Well, if you don't clean up abandoned properties, yes, then they would be a mess. But luckily, we have a program for that. Oh, that's the one you're gonna cut. And then he'll turn around later and go, see, I told you they're a mess. Okay. HUD's budget would shrink by about 14% to $40.5 billion in fiscal 2018, which begins in October. Okay, now I want to give you context there. So the entirety of the HUD budget would be down of about $40 billion. Washington Post explains, it's the latest evidence that the administration is following through on President Trump's goal to cut domestic spending by $54 billion to bolster the defense budget. The defense budget is already $600 billion. But Trump wants to add another $54 billion, so he's going to go around destroying the budgets of all of the other agencies so they could put in another $54 billion. The entire HUD budget is only $40. So let's talk about the consequences. In total, about $4 billion in community planning and development grants, which have been used to clean up struggling neighborhoods, would be eliminated under the Office of Management and Budget's proposal. So it hasn't happened yet, it is a proposal, but that's what they would do. Who does it affect? Under the proposal, direct rental assistance payments, including Section 8 housing and housing vouchers for homeless veterans, would be cut by at least $300 million to $19.3 billion. Additionally, housing for the elderly, known as Section 202 program, would be cut by $42 million, nearly 10%. Section 811, housing for the people with disabilities, would be cut by $29 million, nearly 20%. The disabled take the biggest hit. Money available for Native American housing block grants would fall by $150 million. That's actually more than 20%. Sorry, they hit the Native Americans harder than they even hit the disabled because they're so classy. So if you're an elderly person who thought Trump was gonna deliver for you and you voted for him, and you're poor, and you need this to be able to live, sad day for you. Turns out the joke's on you. If you're a veteran who thought Trump was on your side, nope, joke's on you. Well, if you're a rich veteran or you're rich elderly, don't worry, he's got your back. Tax cuts are coming your way. If you're a giant defense contractor, oh, you love Trump. That's right, take from average Americans and give all the money to us in billion-dollar contracts that are actually the most wasteful part of the government. Okay, now, I want to remind Donald Trump of another Republican president who knew a thing or two about winning wars, Dwight Eisenhower. He said, every gun that is made, every warship launched, every rocket fired signifies, in the final sense, a theft from those who hunger and are not fed, those who are cold and are not clothed. This world in arms is not spending money alone. It is spending the sweat of its laborers, the genius of its scientists, the hopes of its children. Now, of course, that was a warning that Dwight Eisenhower left behind. Donald Trump looked at that and thought, oh, that sounds pretty good. Let's go ahead and do that. And that's what he's in the middle of doing right now.
Are you sick of the mainstream media? Then I got good news for you. We're going to hire some investigative reporters and we're going to go house. We're actually going to investigate what's happening in this country and stand up for you guys. Help us do it. Go to tytnetwork.com/go. If everybody watching this video just gives a little bit of money, we'd have plenty to hire those investigative teams and unleash them on the country.